Welcome to today's lesson on Social Studies for SHS 1. In our last meeting, I introduced the topic National Independence and Self-Reliance. In this topic, I explained to you what political independence is. And I said political independence is where a country gains self-rule from a colonial power in order to administer their own affairs. We also saw some of the features or characteristics of independence. This morning, we are going to continue from where we ended. And we are going to look at some of the benefits or the importance that a country derives as an independent state. In this lesson, I expect you that at the end of the lesson, you should be able to discuss at least 3 benefits of political independence. Also, I would expect you to explain 2 mistakes that Ghana as an independent state has made after independence. Let's look at the benefits or the importance of political independence to a state. The first point that I would like to discuss with you is that an independent state is protected from external manipulation. When we talk of manipulation, we simply are talking about the control that a country undergoes. But once you become an independent state, like I said last week, you become a sovereign state in that you take your own decisions. You decide how you want to organize your things, your economic systems, your political systems. But once we were under the colonial administration, these colonial masters decided all that we did as a country. So we had a governor who was also under a Secretary of State for the colonies. So these people would decide the direction of the country and the economy. So once we have become an independent state, all these manipulations, all these controls are no more. So today, we are able to decide or organize our own things as an independent state. It's just like when you're in the house and you feel that you are matured and you get married. You don't expect your parents to continue to take decisions for you. You take decisions on your own as a family, as a nuclear family. The same thing applies to an independent state. So that is one important benefit that we derive from gaining independence. The second thing is that an independent state is able to develop her own symbols. I know you know some of these symbols. Talk of the Ghana flag, talk of our coat of arms, our national anthem. These are unique symbols for us as a country. Every independent state has these symbols, and they are unique to the states. For example, our national flag may have the same colors as that of other countries. But if we tell you the meaning of each of these colors in the national flag, you would see that the meaning or the reason why our forefathers chose those colors are quite different from what other states also have, though we may be having the same colors. So wherever you see the red, gold, green with a black star, it tells you that this is the Ghana flag. When we are playing a tournament, and you hear the Ghana anthem being sung, nobody will tell you that this is the country Ghana. And so, as an independent country, we are also able to develop these national symbols, which are unique to us. Another thing that an independent state or country stands to benefit is that it is able to associate or join an international organization. What are some of these international organizations? I want you to write down some of these organizations that you know of. Very well. When we talk of some of these international organizations, we are talking of the United Nations, the Commonwealth of Nations, the African Union. You can only become a member of any of these organizations if only you are independent. For example, the United Nations Charter makes it clear that only independent states can become members. So during colonial times, they were able to play a major role to ensure decolonization of these states. So an independent state, you have the liberty to join all these things. Commonwealth of Nations. It is an organization or an association that is made up of states that were governed or were under the British colonial rule. So Ghana, as a former British colony, is a member of the Commonwealth of Nations. And we start to derive so many benefits by associating with these organizations. For example, financially, we get support from them. When it is time for us to have our elections, at times we go to them and they give us money, they give us grants. When we are in difficulties, they are able to assist us with loans. Nigeria, our West African neighbors, those times that we didn't have oil, because we were all under the same colonial rule with them, they are able to give us oil, or they were able to give us oil on credit. So these are some of the benefits that we get. Education, we get benefits from them through the UNESCO and so on and so forth. So as an independent state, you start to benefit a lot, and Ghana is no exception. We have benefited so much from these international organizations. Another thing that we like to talk about is that as an independent country, we are able to utilize our own natural resources. Ghana is endowed with so many resources. But when we were under colonialism, the white man decided how to use these resources on our behalf. They can take these resources, the gold, the other things that they needed, to their country. But today, because we have, we can decide how to use our own resources, we have been able to set up what we call the Heritage Fund. Now that we found oil, our leaders have realized that it will get to a time that this oil will get finished. But the future generation, those yet unborn, have to benefit from the oil that we have found. So, in their wisdom, they have been able to set up the Heritage Fund, which will take care of the future generation. And that is one important thing that as independent state, we have been able to decide for ourselves. Maybe if we were still under colonialism, the white man would not think of setting up such a fund, or will not utilize these resources to our benefit. Now all of us can decide how to use these resources, and that is important to this country as an independent state. The other thing, or the last point under this, is that as an independent state, we enjoy the pride of statehood. Now, you can feel happy, chest out, when we talk of independent states, because your state is also recognized as one. You are not under any control. So there are times that we honor our heroes, our forefathers who fought for independence for us. People like the Big Six, we always hear their name. Then we have set up a holiday that we call Founders Day, which this country, it is a time that we recognize the selfless contribution of these leaders in gaining independence for us. This tells us that gaining independence was not just an event. It took so many years. People fought and lost their lives. So if today we have become an independent state, then it is only proper that we recognize them, we honor them. So on our currency, you see that the Big Six have their images on it. And that is to show how they have contributed to this country. Now, let's look at the mistakes so far we have made as a country, as an independent country. Whether when we're fighting for independence, whether we got it right after gaining independence. After independence, we have realized that we lack what we call proper planning. What do I mean by proper planning? Now, we are unable to plan to achieve our national goals. Since independence, we have had so many governments, so many leaders who have come and gone. These leaders started some projects, but whenever somebody comes to take over, it becomes so difficult for them to continue with the projects that their predecessors started. So always we waste the little resources we have as a country. So nowadays you would hear our politicians and they will be competing. We started this. You left it, you didn't continue. So let's ask ourselves, so couldn't we have sat down as a country, have a blueprint, set a time frame that we want to use this time frame to achieve this? Whenever we mention this point, what comes to mind is Singapore, where under one leader called Lim Kuan Yew decided that they will use a decade to change the face of Singapore. And today Singapore, because of proper planning, they have been able to move from a third world country to a first world country. And that is the kind of independence, that is the kind of planning we expected our leaders to have had. But we couldn't have done this as a country. So achieving our national goals is not a problem for us as a country. And that is one basic mistake we have made as a country. Also, in our field of education, what do we see? Now, our education is knowledge-based. It's just steal, pour, pass, and forget. Once these colonial masters, those who came to colonize us, in their country, they are looking at science, vocational, and technical education. We are much interested in the academics. We are much interested in the theory. You'll be surprised to visit some of these technical institutions where even the kind of basic equipment that they will need as a school, as a technical school, to teach their students, they don't have. But we say they are a pure technical institution. So it's a mistake that we've made. So nowadays, what students think about is that always they want to finish school and seek government employment. They want government to employ them. White-collar job. They want to sit in an office where they sit in their air-conditioned, their swivel chair, and let government pay them. We don't develop our skills. So it is a mistake we have made as a country, and we expect that going forward, our leaders will be able to move away from this. Another mistake that we are making, or we have made as a country, is in the area of appointments. We have what we call favoritism and nepotism. When it comes to governance and government is giving appointments, nowadays what do we see? Governments would want to give appointments to their relatives, their cronies, their friends, their church members. So we end up putting square pegs in round holes. So people are awarded contracts. They are not contractors, but they are able to maneuver to get certificates. And then they are given contracts, road contracts. And what do we see? They do shoddy works. When the work is finished, within some few months, few years, and you will see that what they have done, if it is a road, you will start seeing potholes developing on these roads. So another government will come, and the same road that was done some few months ago, you would have to redo it again. Which is not right as a country. So in the area of appointments, we don't look at the people who can do the work. So always there is inefficiency in government work. Because he is your relative, he is your nephew, so you give appointment to him or her. And politicians have been accusing each other on this. So we pray that when going forward, these politicians will see reason and then move out from this mistake that they continue to make. Give the work to somebody who can do it and do it very well, give you results. Also, as a country, after independence, we have overly relied on the export of raw materials. Ghana, we pride ourselves to be the second largest exporter of cocoa. Some years back, I learned we were the first largest exporter of cocoa. But you ask yourself, how much do we get from these cocoa beans when they are exported? Our inability to add value to these raw cocoa beans is doing a great disservice to this country. It is said that Switzerland, where they get the cocoa beans from Africa, but the chocolate that they manufacture, they are able to get so many dollars from it, about $100 million a year, we are told. But ask yourself, Ghana, how much do we get from the cocoa beans? Not even $2 million a year. So we have overly relied on these natural resources that we were given. And that is the mistake that we continue to do. So not until we move away from these things, we're able to industrialize. We're able to create more jobs for our people through industrialization. We will always face these challenges. The last thing that I would like to talk about on this topic is political instability and bad governance. Since independence, our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was overthrown when he had left for a meeting in Vietnam in a place called Hanoi. He was there and the news broke that he has been overthrown. After Nkrumah, there have been a series of coup d'etat in this country. And these people who took over from these leaders, what did they achieve for this country? Bad governance. They come with their policies, and these policies are not something that goes to help the general population. Most of them will come and they will think of their pockets. They will think of their family members, how to make themselves rich, how to amass wealth. And this is what, as Africans, and Ghana in particular, we have faced for over 63 years now as an independent country. So always you hear of mismanagement and corruption. Now corruption has become a big challenge for us. There is no single government that has come to lead this country that there will not be corruption allegations against their members. So all these monies that could have been used to develop this country find their way into people's pockets. We have so many institutions that should take care of these corrupt elements in the society. Just recently, the current president has set up the Special Prosecutor's Office, which should deal with corruption. Aside that, we have IOCO and so many institutions. But you ask yourself, have we been able to tackle this canker of corruption? So in all this, you will see that as an independent state, as a country, though when we were under colonialism, we sought to gain independence, which definitely we were granted. But after independence, we have faced so many challenges. We have gone through so many mistakes. And these are some of the mistakes that I've mentioned or we have discussed today. In our next meeting, we would look at how to correct these mistakes as an independent state. And I expect you to read ahead before we meet next week. But for your assignment, I want you to take these assignments and we'll discuss them also in our next meeting. The first one, you are to discuss 3 benefits of political independence, just as we have explained. We've explained about 5 benefits. Just discuss 3 of them. Also, you are to explain 2 mistakes of post-independence. What mistakes have we made as an independent state? Until we meet again, I say, I wish you all the best. Thank you.